Good morning, everyone. We welcome you to the Wednesday, January 22nd of 2020 meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Utah Transit Authority. We'd invite you to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business up is our Safety First Minute, and we understand Kent Muhlestein is joining us today. Kent, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm Kent representing the Safety Department today. On today's message, I'm going to talk about CPR and first aid. In the event of a cardiac emergency, someone without blood flow supplying oxygen to their brain can suffer brain damage in 4 minutes and brain death in possibly 8 to 9 minutes. Whereas a typical 911 call could take EMS 8 to 10 minutes before they might arrive. So for every minute that passes, that victim's chance of survival decreases by 7 to 10%. So getting them some kind of life-saving help in that interim till emergency medical services can get there is extremely important. So that's why it's important that we have someone who's trained in CPR available to give them that care and restore that oxygen to their vital organs to help save their life. So properly trained CPR and first aid is imperative, can be the difference between life and death. So now here's my shameless plug for the UTA Safety Department CPR first aid courses that we offer on the monthly on the second Thursday of every month. I know that Carlton's been through that as I sat in the class with them, but just encourage everyone here and everyone in the room to sign up for those classes, and you may be able to save a life. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent. It's a great class, and I carry my little protective thing on my keychain now, and hope that I don't ever have to use it, but glad to have that training. So.
We do have those keychains available. If anyone wants one, I can come up and see us and we'll give you one, or you can get one by taking the class. So.
Great. Hey, thank you. Our next item of business is public comment, and Bob, do we have any public?
We have no public comment today.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move to consent, which is approval of our minutes from January 15th.
I move approval of the minutes of our January 15th board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes stand approved. That brings us to our agency report with Carolyn.
Yeah, there's no agency report today.
It makes it really quick. Thank you. Okay.
Nothing I better know.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that brings us to resolutions, and the first item up is a resolution on the filing of applications with the Federal Transit Administration for federal transportation assistance authorized by Chapter 53 of Title 49 of the United States Code and any other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration, and authorizing the filing of other grant applications. That is the longest title
mouthful,
in all mankind.
Good morning. So as the title says, this resolution grants the executive director authority to execute grants in FTA's Transit Award Management System, known as TRAMS. It's required, FTA requires that a resolution by the governing body giving that authority to someone to execute those grants. So that's what this is for. It also gives the executive director the authority to execute awards and execute what's called certifications and assurances that we have to file every year with FTA, saying that we will follow all the rules of the grants and administer them as we're supposed to.
Questions for Mary? Kent?
Is there any limit on the dollar amount of the grant application at all, or is this just a blanket for anything from very small grants to very large grants?
This is for any grant that we have to go into the FTA system and push the button and actually execute it. And then there are also It also allows for her designee to do that, and at the time, right now, we have Bob Biles, our finance officer, as a backup if Carolyn isn't available to execute a grant, so.
Okay, thank you.
I think we had some discussion, that the FTA requirements, and then there's just our own internal policies and
Yes.
standards, and having some discussions about how to work that through. And, I think those are still in progress.
Right, I think for the most of the time, we have federal formula funds that come that we have to execute. Those are typically included in the budget because they're formula-based. We have a good sense of what we're getting when we go into the budget for that year. Oftentimes, most of our funds are on a reimbursement basis. We don't get the money up front, so we're actually spending our money and then get reimbursed. And then most of the grants that we get, say for one of the NOLO grants for the buses, say that we get for, you already know, we've already come to you to say we're going for the grant. If we get the grant, we'd let you know. We're getting the grant. It's just that they need to have usually the CEO or the executive director of the agency, as well as council, be involved in the executing the grants in the system.
Any other questions on this one? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on this resolution.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution R 2020-0103, authorizing the filing of applications with the Federal Transit Administration for federal transportation assistance authorized by Chapter 53 of Title 49 of the United States Code and any other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration, and authorizing the filing of other grant applications.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. I'll ask for a roll call.
Trustee Millington,
Aye.
Trustee Christensen,
Aye.
Trustee Holbrook.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That then brings us to contracts, disbursements, and grants. And the one item up above is a change order on the Meadowbrook Building 8 paint booth. And Eddie?
Good morning. I have Kyle Stockley with me this morning.
Morning, Kyle.
This is a change order to the existing contract with Bailey Builders for additional work required for the paint booth installation at Meadowbrook Building 8. The amount of the change orders 1 through 9 is $58,682, bringing the total contract value to $225,110. Please note that there is a discrepancy in the board memo in the recommendation section. The recommendation section lists the total contract value at $229,110. That amount is incorrect. The correct value is $225,110. During the design phase of this project, Epic Engineering, who was our contractor, put together a scope of work for building modifications and paint booth installation based on a visual walkthrough and referencing the building plans. Once demolition was underway, some of the utility and building details did not match, resulting in some additional work. Additionally, once the old paint booth was removed, we found 35 years of built-up overspray on the floor. Due to the modifications in the scope of work, change orders needed to be submitted, which are listed in the board memo. The requested $58,632 for these change orders is in the current capital budget. Any questions?
I would note that Carolyn did point this out to us on the 11th
She did.
of December, and so that it's not news to us. Is the paint booth completed? And
So right now, we're in the actual process of finally constructing the paint booth, which is, we're
Okay.
about 25% complete on the actual construction. So all the demolition and building modifications are complete.
so some of this work was sort of prior, it's prior to the actual construction to get ready
Correct.
for the site. And how are you painting in the interim?
So,
Or did you just forego it?
oh no, I wish we
Had that
we
luxury?
could forego it, yeah. But right now we're building in, or we're painting in small 3x3 foot sections.
Oh,
Anything bigger than that, we're actually partnering with the light rail facility at Midvale to use their paint booth. And so we're actually transporting vehicles back and forth.
okay. Other questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion on this change order.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the change order for the Meadowbrook Building 8 paint booth construction.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, both of you. That brings us to discussion items. And the first item up is about UTA continuous improvement in the 2019 outcomes. And I know that Alicia is here. It says Kim. Is Kim joining
Kim's
you?
out sick today.
Oh,
I mean,
not
has a
feeling
sick
well.
leave
Well,
today.
that's too bad. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. I hope she feels better.
It's her son.
Oh, it's her son.
Got a very high fever, so she needs to be
no.
with him this morning.
Okay. Understandable. Well, tell us about, I think you have probably the largest, smallest cheerleader to my left, but yeah,
Somewhere in there.
but tell us about what kind of progress we're making and where you see this effort going.
I might just preface her
please.
remarks by saying I was enormously surprised when they had the continuous improvement kind of an open house a couple of months ago, and I had a chance to spend some time with a number of the tables and the presentations, and I was enormously impressed by the effort that's being made to improve the operation, the internal operation of UTA by this very dedicated and very professional group. And so I've spent some additional time. They've come up and spent time with me, trying to improve me, and I'm afraid they've given up. But I'm just really impressed by this team and the effort that's being made. And so it's a real privilege to be associated with those kinds of professionals. I look forward to being able to participate in future activities there. So we welcome you here, Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, trustees. It's a wonderful opportunity to come and share something that I'm extremely passionate about. So I'll try and keep it under control today. But I wanted to just highlight a little bit about how the continuous improvement team was formed and our evolution at the agency, and then really jump into what we were able to accomplish last year. So as you know, continuous improvement is one of UTA's values, and that is so wonderful because it allows us to make sure that we're focused on improving both how we interact with our people, our customers, and our processes. And it's the lens in which we're trying to look at our work so that we're always finding ways to learn more about our work, learn about our customers, and how can we improve that. So a lot of people ask, what is continuous improvement? Is it lean? Is it Six Sigma? Is it just data? And to me, it is so much more than that. It's every employee every day knowing what their work is and finding better ways of doing their work. It's finding ways to focus on customer value. At the core basis of continuous improvement, it's all about delivering value to your customer and how do you find better ways of doing that. So that is something that resonates with so many of our employees here at UTA. And I think each of you have seen that in different instances as you've spent time with this organization. It's about improving efficiency and effectiveness, productivity, being scientific about the approach that we take. We like to look for data and what does the information tell us, and then engaging and developing our talent. The best ideas come from all of the employees who are actually doing the work, and so spending time to engage with them is very empowering. It's a great way for us to learn what's happening in the organization and find ways of making things better. So that's a little bit about the culture of continuous improvement that we're trying to create, and that's already our foundation of what we are building. So in 2012, UTA formed a Lean Champion team. It was primarily focused with operations members, and we were really looking at Lean concepts and how do we improve projects and processes. We had some budget gaps we were trying to close, and we were trying to utilize those Lean tools and principles. Fast forward to 2016, we had enough momentum and structure behind being able to see the improvements both with our employees and our work processes that we actually created a continuous improvement department, which is part of my culture and talent development department now that I lead, as well as an ongoing continuous improvement team of volunteers. So the Lean Champion team has morphed. We have 3 different tiers that I'll talk a little bit more about later. So these are individuals who are interested in continuous improvement. They have their regular duties and jobs, and they volunteer to participate on this team to continue to move us forward. So this is how we're structured. We have our fabulous UTA leadership, and I am so proud to say how strongly supported we feel by leadership in leading out on culture and continuous improvement initiatives. We have that corporate continuous improvement department that I talked about. That's a full-time staff of 3. And then we have our continuous improvement team. And again, we have those 3 tiers. So we have our advocate group. They're the ones learning the basics. A lot of the work that they do is very localized in their team or their department. We have our expert group who've been with us for at least 2 years on the team. They're working on more of larger cross-functional or cross-departmental projects. And then I have my faculty members, and I could not do what I do for UTA without my faculty. They are bar none fabulous. And they help us develop content, they help us with facilitation, project support, coaching and consulting, and actually teaching the different courses that we roll out with continuous improvement. And then you'll see at the bottom there, it's practitioners. And the goal for UTA, part of our vision for the continuous improvement team, is that all employees at UTA get to the point where they have enough knowledge that all of them can be practitioners of continuous improvement in some form or fashion without having to be a formal member on the team. Any questions about the structure?
Alicia, how does somebody get chosen as an expert or, advocate? Is that a self-promoted kind of thing, or is that something where they apply or wait in the context of everybody else?
No, I appreciate that question. We're actually in the process right now. You may have seen emails. We've opened up enrollment to participate in the 2020 cohort. So you start out as an advocate first, and it is a voluntary basis. A few years ago when we first started, the original Lean Champion team was a bit of a voluntold process where it was, I think you'll be good at this, we need you on the team. And that worked for those of us very passionate about it. But for those who weren't sure that's what they wanted to do, we didn't have the same energy. So we've re-looked at that process, and they actually have to do a higher view interview with us. They have to let us know why they're interested in joining the team, what they're hoping to accomplish, how we can help use continuous improvement to better their team or department that they participate on. And then they have to be willing to commit to the meetings and working on their certification. So everyone has to start as an advocate, but those second year members, at the end of the year, our advocates can let us know, I just want to do the 1-year program, or I want to re-enroll as an expert. And then they'll let us know what tools or areas do you want to focus on, what sort of cross-departmental work are you interested in? Because again, the work and the expectations shift for the experts. And then our faculty members obviously are in that longer track. So. Great question. Thank you.
I had another question. Thank you so much for your passion on this, by the way. How does an individual who's becoming an advocate, they're starting the process, how do they get that information down to their team? Or are you going to address that in a little later? I wasn't sure. So
I will address that. Thank you so much. And if I don't, please bring that back up to me, Beth. Thank you. Okay, so who we are, we have our own mission and vision statement. But we really want to be seen as a go-to resource within the agency, that we can help offer learning opportunities, training opportunities, skill development. We empower and engage our employees. We do project support. And ultimately, the goal is to help us improve our quality and improve our customer experience. Our vision is improving the work is the work. Again, we want every employee to be able to understand it's not enough to just do your work the same way you've always done it, but to continually find ways to make that better, both to ease the employee's life, find a better quality of life, more enjoyable work, but in the end, it ultimately adds more value for our customers, and that's what we're here for. We have stolen that mantra from one of our favorite Lean books, which is Own the Gap. So I need to give credit to the authors of Own the Gap, which is Mike Martin and Brian Crowell. Here's the different work we do as a CI team. Again, training and development, project support and facilitation. We do a lot of document tracking, creating of procedures, process mapping. We often partner with our internal audit team, with groups that have been recently audited or that are trying to better formalize their processes. We often help partner there. Again, mentoring and coaching both members on the team as well as others in the organization that may be working on strategic initiatives or projects where it would be helpful to utilize this lens. And ultimately supporting the UTA way. And I am so excited about Carolyn's vision for updating and rolling out the new UTA way, and the continuous improvement team will do everything we can to help that continue to come to fruition at UTA. So here's our certification process. They have to participate in our CIT meetings. We meet twice a month. We also require that they read a certain number of lean, culture, and continuous improvement books. And during those meetings on a quarterly basis, we have a book club where we're learning, what did you learn in this book? What are your ahas? What do you maybe disagree with or we don't think would be applicable at UTA? Again, I mentioned they have to do a CI project where they're working on applying what they've learned to some of their work to make an improvement. They have mentor sessions with our experts and our faculty who are helping them to think through, how do I use that lens on a day-to-day basis, as well as offer project support to them. Another element we love to celebrate is our UTA Way nominations. I think in some of the managers' meetings, you've maybe seen people that have been nominated for that. We love to be able to spot best practices and people who are really living the UTA way. And it's a great opportunity for members of our team to recognize someone else. So they aren't nominating themselves, they're nominating someone else who is really displaying that culture and continuous improvement. We also have a Shingle Nomination Award for really significant projects that have had a strong impact across the agency. So they have the opportunity to nominate folks for that. There's also a certain number of training courses that they have to take. The basics don't have to take as many courses as our experts because they're in the program for longer. And then we also try and do internal site tours as well as external. So again, trying to help everyone understand all of the wonderful things that are happening across the agency and how do we see and share those best practices. So once a quarter, we are hosted by a different department or a different team, and we go and see what principles they or how they've made improvements to their work, with the hope that we can take back to our work areas something that we've learned that we may be able to apply, as well as provide feedback to those departments on maybe other areas that we've spotted that they could improve. We also partner with some of our external operational excellence partners and try and send some of our team members to go and see them and see what other companies are doing, both in service, manufacturing, financial fields, healthcare, because again, bringing back those best practices and knowing where other people are at on their continuous improvement journey is a great way to gain insight. So that's our certification process in a nutshell. And we had several members accomplish their certifications last year. So we started out with 38 team members on the team last year. Again, these are voluntary members who are doing this in addition to their work. We had great cross-functional representation last year. We had 22 different departments represented on the team. And that's one thing that gets us really excited. The interest and the spread of continuous improvement is growing organically, which is the most effective way. Since joining the team, 11 of those 38 members have either taken on a new role or promoted internally. So we feel like it's also a great development track. We also had 3 team members promote externally, and while we were sad to lose them, each one of them has come back and said, I wouldn't have been able to get this position if it weren't for my participation on the CI team. So we're proud of that as well. And then we had 13 team members who achieved their advocate certification. Not all of them are in that picture, unfortunately. We had 5 members who maintained their faculty, and then I had 5 members who were actively on my faculty but haven't completed their certification yet because they just haven't been in the program long enough. So that's a little bit about the highlights of the team itself. And then we had a very, very busy year last year. We had 53 projects formally submitted and tracked through the CI team. And again, sometimes they're on a small scale, sometimes they're a much larger project. And the results that we saw is we improved service to our customers. We improved efficiency in the process or in that specific area. significant improvement on communication. We improved quality, we improved learning, both for the team members as well as across the agency, and we improved quality of life both for our employees and for our customers, and we had a lot of fun while we did it. I have a couple of projects I can highlight that give examples of those if you would like, since we're zooming through the meeting. Hold on, let me refer to my notes. I apologize. So a couple of the projects that helped improve service to our customers, one of the projects that occurred in our front runner team was adding hand sanitizer onto our commuter rail system. It came as a recommendation actually from our customers. So they have been trying to find a way to integrate customer feedback into the different improvements that they make, as well as employee feedback. And they were able to improve 23 of their customer suggestions last year. But one of them was hand sanitizer, so that employees, especially this time of year, as well as our passengers, can get on the train and they can, use hand sanitizer and feel like they're nice and clean. The challenge that we had with that is we had no idea that the way it's dispensed and the different type of solution and the location that it is placed can actually create a lot of challenges. And we found that people could accidentally lean against them, or the wrong liquid would just drip out. And so we ended up having a slip hazard. So sometimes when we improve things, there's lessons learned and it doesn't always go the way we planned initially. So they partnered with their vendor and they partnered with the maintenance staff to find what is the right type of soap and hand sanitizer to use, what's the right type of dispenser, and they tested it in multiple different places to make sure that it would be accessible for our customers and that it wouldn't create a mess in our trains either. And that's been very successful, and they've gotten a lot of positive feedback from customers now that it's working and working well.
So if you get onto the train, whichever car, where would that be? Just curious.
It's up the stairs on the double-decker cars and front runner. As you go up the stairs, it's right in the corner on that first platform, on both ends of the cars. And I see, because I ride front runner every day,
Using it.
I see people using it a lot, especially right now. And so it's very accessible, and everybody seems to know. In fact, many times people that are, of course, if they're upstairs, they're walking by it as they're coming off the train. But many times I see people on the first floor will actually walk up and get some of the hand sanitizer before they get off the train.
That's
So-
wonderful.
Yes, and it's and I've never seen a slip hazard. I've never seen anything dripping out or anything like that, because I've kind of watched for that. But that's where they're located.
We initially had them near the bathrooms, and that was not a great location for them because often they were getting leaned against when people were waiting to get off the vehicle. So the wonderful thing about continuous improvement is we follow a principle called PDCA, which is plan, do, check, and act. And so you come up with a plan, you do it, you implement it, and then you check to see how it's going, and you either act to adjust or act to sustain. And the front runner team very quickly reacted in making sure that they could optimize this service, making it available for our customers. We have another improvement that helped to service our customers, and that was a team effort actually between front runner and our customer experience folks. And that was improving the signage by Lehigh Station specifically for passengers in wheelchairs and passengers with bicycles. If you're not familiar with that area, it's challenging to know exactly where you need to get to in order to be able to board properly. And so they went out to the site, they observed it multiple times, they took in feedback from different customers as well as from employees. And then they partnered both, again, with Front Runner and our customer experience team to identify what type of signage and then making sure that it met all of our signage standards. And they've gotten that placed up there, and they've noticed that the flow of the passengers has improved significantly, and there's a lot less confusion, which we know improves the quality of life for our employees if they don't have anxiety about how to get on our system. So that's another.
One of the things with the Lehigh Station is that from the parking lot, everybody has to go down underneath the UP tracks.
Yes.
And then come back up to get to the front runner. And so it was not really obvious for those using wheelchairs how they had to go to the ramps to get
Right.
down and then back up with wheelchairs or bikes. And so that signage has been really very helpful because there are a number of people that use wheelchairs that get on at Lehigh, get on and off there.
Right.
And I see that every day. So it was very helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Approving efficiency. It's often when we're doing continuous improvement, efficiency may be the goal of why we start the project, and it's often an output if it wasn't the goal. So I could probably list all 53 projects for you, improved efficiency, but I won't. We have one in particular that's wonderful. We were working with some folks in our total rewards department on their benefits process. And one of our goals in the people office was to make sure that we've documented as many of our processes as possible so we have that standard work. And it then allows you, once you know how to do the work, you can streamline different ways of doing it. And as one of our CIT members was working with our benefits administrator, they realized just how painful this process was for this individual. She was spending at least 40 hours a month on this one reconciliation report to make sure that all of our insurance providers coming in were reconciled with all of the employees, making sure it was the right rates. And it was over 8 different spreadsheets coming from 3 different data sources. And then it was so intensive on her mind that she would generally have to work from home, and she would do it 10 hours at a time so that she could just focus, and any interruption would send her starting back over. And so as they worked out this process, they found ways that they could streamline it. There's different ways that they were able to use technology to automate a lot of the formatting for her and to automatically bring in the records that she needed. So far, they've taken it from 40 hours a month to 17. They've got 2 more steps that they plan, and their goal is to have it to 5 hours or less. So there's a couple things that have happened. This individual now has significantly more time back. Her stress level is significantly reduced, and the number of errors and challenges has also been reduced, and we're still finding ways to improve. So that's one that we're just really excited about, and we're still in the process of improving that one. Improved communication. Believe it or not, continuous improvement and culture work can be a huge catalyst for improving communication, especially as we tear down different silos and create that collaboration and cross-function of thinking about what does our customer need, what is the business looking for, and what can our processes do. When we use those different lenses, it really allows us to think about the big picture while we're doing the details. We have a culture partner who has been working with one of our business units at Special Services, and one of their goals was they wanted to increase accountability behaviors across the leadership team and really strengthen communication. And so they've done a lot of culture work, they've done trainings, they've changed the way that they hold their staff meetings, they changed the way that they've done their follow-up and accountability. And the information that we've received is that they've reduced barriers, they've created a more approachable and open way for issues to be brought up. They've increased idea flows because now it's a safe enough environment that you can toss out an idea and try it and see if it works. And if it's not, there's no better learning than actually failure. So you fail fast and you fail quickly. And that's one of the things we teach in continuous improvement. They've increased the amount of participation that they receive. They've increased accountability, and they've increased engagement in their business units. We'd like to think that's a huge success for them. Improved quality, again, that's one of the ultimate goals of continuous improvement. So I have several examples, but one of them is over at Jordan River. In our parts room, they were finding, I don't know if you've ever seen all the different sizes of hoses that we have. There's a lot of hoses. And so they did a standardization process improvement where they found a way to label all of them. They used creative solutions with their own scrap parts to create plexiglass where you could see what things were. They shaped it perfectly for the different hoses, and so only certain hoses can come out of the right size of the hole, so it's preventing defects. They can see how much they have left, so it made it much easier for the parts clerks to find it, to access it, made it much easier to inventory. They figure they saved about 13 hours a year just in the way that they cleaned up that, as well as making it much easier to access when their mechanics are requesting different hoses. Also, our improved learning. Like I mentioned, we like to think that by participating on the team and working on different projects, the CIT members learn. But the goal of the CIT members is to not have a team forever, as much as I would love that. The goal is to help them feed continuous improvement in the agency. So they participate on the team and they go back out in their respective departments or service units and they're helping others apply those same concepts and principles. A great example of improved learning is actually a partnership between the GIS team and Operations Analysis and Solutions. I know they've presented to you on their open portal, but really being able to take their learning, take technology, and take workload off of our analysts, but also provide information and learning to our customers, to our external stakeholders, as well as internal employees. And so that was a wonderful project that they've been able to successfully implement. And they plan to measure that about every 6 months to see just how effective that's being both externally. And lastly, improved quality of life. We truly believe that culture and continuous improvement helps with engagement of all of our frontline employees. They're so passionate and care about the work that they do. And if they can find ways of making their work better, why not? So that helps improve morale, it helps improve empowerment, it reduces their stress factor, because if there's something that's challenging in their workplace and we can help remove obstacles to make that better, they feel very supported by their leadership, as well as their life gets better in the workplace. We have a group that issues our 5310 grants. And one of the things that they wanted to do is map out all of their specific processes, and it did two things for them. It allowed them to be able to have documentation to hand to the FTA, which is something that is heavily regulated with our 5310 grants. And then the side benefit that they have seen from that is it has allowed them to better divide roles and responsibilities amongst that team and clearly understand this person can do this piece, I can do this piece, and in someone's absence, it's much easier to do cross-training and support. So those are just a few of the ways that we've seen improvement across the agency, and there's so much more that's happening that's not been formally documented through our team.
Alicia, those are some great examples. And I, like, intrinsically, you know that it saves the agency money or time. Has anybody tried to put a number to that, or do you, or is there some way sort of you measure and accumulate? And in particular, in the contrast of the administration of the continuous improvement and those kind of things, I just wondered, is there some ratio that you develop or monitor?
That's a great question, and I would love to ultimately be able to share with you a comprehensive number for this agency. We don't have that at this time yet. Our goal is to be able to better track and manage that across the agency. We do track these specific projects. Some of them are soft savings, right? Sure. Especially the quality and the communication sometimes and the morale. Others do have hard savings, but we repurpose those dollars, or it's allowed us to resource reallocate. So we do have savings, but there's something we haven't been able to fund, and so we put it back in so the savings aren't necessarily seen. I will say that since 2015, maybe, Bob, you could correct me on this, but there's always a continuous improvement goal in the budget where we need to find a certain number of dollar efficiencies, and we've to date been able to continue to find those. I know when I was the analyst in Salt Lake Business Unit, and I was tracking that very, very closely. Salt Lake Business Unit alone has already found more than $2 million, and I've been out of their business unit for almost 3 years now. So agency-wide, it's had significant impact.
And we had a recent example where the IT department undertook a project, and that was over $800,000 savings.
Yes.
Hard dollar savings.
Hard dollar savings.
Any questions for Alicia? Beth,
I didn't have a question necessarily, but I just wanted to thank you so much for bringing this and this report today, and definitely your passion. I can see how you have influenced others. I've seen that now and then in response to various meetings I've seen you in, and so you have been a great asset as well. So thank you very much, and thank your team. this is it's obviously an ongoing thing, and I think that that's the key component to this. So without somebody who is so passionate about the improvement side, it's harder to do it, but you make it look easy. So thanks.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I benefited personally from sitting down with Alicia and others of her team, going through the paperwork that's actually used as they organize and carry out any of these projects, and the systematic way in which they organize the work and encourage the improvement and track the improvement is very beneficial. And I just personally enjoyed that experience, and I know how beneficial it can be. For example, we all drive better cars because of continuous improvement.
Absolutely.
It was started by Toyota in Japan with Edward Deming 50 years ago, and the quality of the cars at Toyota improved to the point where the United States companies had to respond in order to maintain some kind of market share. So we're all better off as a result. And in a smaller way, we're all better off in the agency as a result of this continuous improvement effort that's being made. It's just, I get really excited about it. I guess it's the several years that I lived and worked in Japan
Yes.
that I got infused with this continuous improvement. And so I recognize the value and how really beneficial this is to all of our employees and customers.
Thank you so very much.
Excuse me. Thank you, and thanks to your team and to those who are participating in the program. And we'll look forward to continued success. So take care. Thank you. Or pretty much the last item up is, last but not least, is our government relations update. And we're here to give Shul a hard time and welcome him to UTA. And apparently the legislature is going to start next week, and we have a few minor items up in front of him.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're doing right now, is just monitoring and legislation. Bill files are continuing to be numbered and get language, and Michelle's been doing awesome at combing through those bills and being responsive to ledge research. But like you said, and my question is, tax reform is still a hot topic, and I don't know how much oxygen it's going to take throughout the session and now. But right now, some of the things we're looking at is Representative Handy is running a bill that could be beneficial for us. It deals with employment eligibility, moving the requirement from 10 years to 5 years on the background check, which would be it's a kind of a compassionate bill, but also will help us as we know that employment is difficult. The economy is good right now, which is a plus, but it also makes it difficult to hire. So that's one thing that we're looking for, that we're grateful for Senator or Representative Handy for doing. The other big thing that's going to be happening in the legislature is our 50-year celebration. It's going to be an exciting event, and we're looking forward to doing that. But other than that, we're still working on things, monitoring things, and working with representatives. I will make sure to keep you guys appraised if we need to take a position for or against. But other than that, we're just getting ready for Monday. So, any questions?
Shul, Kent asked me about the actual petition. There's a process. They turn them into the respective county clerks, right? And they have to validate the petitions and signatures.
Do the clerks do that, or does it go straight to the lieutenant governor?
Looked like it went to the clerks, but you don't remember the day. It's like February 3rd or something, where we would know when we.
Well, last night at 5 o'clock was the deadline for the signatures. I don't know, and I hadn't heard if they had submitted sufficient signatures to.
I saw an article.
Qualify.
I mean, I've heard no, but I saw an article that said that they thought they had enough signatures.
We'll see if they all get validated.
I believe that the clerks have a timeline requirement to do the certification process before they turn that into the lieutenant governor's office. So there will definitely be a timeline on that.
Yeah, and I think there's more things going on prior to that too. We'll keep an eye on too.
All right. Any questions for Shul? All right. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
Welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for the education. I'm learning UTA has a far-reaching effect, and I'm learning that.
Okay, well, look forward to working with you and those our lobbyists and other team members there. So thank you.
Thanks.
I think that, if I'm not mistaken, brings us to item number 10, which is our next meeting, which will be on January the 29th. If there aren't any other issues, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We'll stand adjourned. Thank you.